Hi everybody, this is Crochet Craft Nut. This is a striped beanie tutorial in crochet, primarily for Amber, who has asked for this tutorial, and I'm going to show you the different stages. So we're going to start off with this nice little round piece to begin with. I'm experimenting with a new camera, so bear with me with the technical hitches, okay? So I'm referring to this as the disc, okay? And then we go from that stage, I will show you how to do these, up to this stage to create the second contrast colour. Up to this stage, and we're back to we've got the green, pink and a dark sort of berry colour, and this green has a slight metallic kind of foil thing going through it, gives it a bit of extra sparkle. And note to self, keep everything within arm's reach. Now this size, this plain flat disc at this size, okay, this is done with the UK trebles, and you've got your starting chain in here, your first round of trebles, which are 2 into every stitch. Now this is the run through before we actually do the physical demonstration, so don't panic about this, okay? 2 trebles into every stitch. Then on the next contrast layer, this sort of neon pink, we've got can you see that? Yep. 2 into 1 and then a single treble. 2 into 1 and then a single treble. So it's 2 1 2 1 2 1. Okay? I'm pulling this a little bit closer so you can see that dark colour. Okay, so we've gone 2 2 1, and this one is 2 1 1 2 1 1, and this is the formula that I want you to see. To keep a disc flat is that you have to do 2 2 1 2 1 1, and it gets further and further out. With the further out you go, the more sort of single stitches you need. Okay, so we're using trebles throughout this. So we start with a chain, okay, and then we go into trebles. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go back to this stage, okay, and this bit is the most important bit. Great, camera went on to standby. Okay, so you've done your very first, your knot there, okay. I'm using a 4mm hook, and this is just double knit yarn. Now there's been a little bit of confusion about what double knit means. Double knit is the standard size that we use in the UK for making a sort of fabric out of the wool, and double knit always uses knitting needles of 4mm or crochet hooks of 4mm. Okay, so start with crochet 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, 4 chain. Okay, so you have 1 2 3 4. Don't include the knot, don't include the loop on the hook. Okay, 1 2 3 4, and then we keep the V's of that. We keep the V's of that front of the stitch facing towards us. Okay, I'm trying to get that tail out of the way. We use the hook head to go straight into that first stitch. I'll do that again. Going straight into that first stitch. Okay, and we get our working yarn. We pull it through that first stitch and through the loop that was already on the hook. The reason I'm having so many problems trying to do this is I'm doing this from the video cam on my laptop, which means I can't actually see what the camera sees, so I have to keep looking over the I'm kind of hanging over the laptop. Okay, so you'll have something that looks like this. You want to try and find the obvious hole in the middle. Okay, and we're going to start, and we're going to do 10 doubles, 10 DCs, 10 double crochets into this, but we're going to start with the equivalent of a mock double crochet, which in this case is a simple chain. One chain, then we go into the center, pull up, yarn over, through 2. That's your second DC. 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm doing this quickly, 7, 8, 9, 10, just so that you can see what's going on without having to wait for it all. Okay, so we're going to have this sort of effect. It looks kind of like an incomplete circle, and we do this slip stitch again, which is, you're going to want to find where we did that very first chain, which is there. It's a little bit stiff. I use the verifier, if you like, that if the stitch is quite difficult to get through for this slip stitch, because you're just going to go straight in with the hook, you know you've got the right one. Okay, so yarn over, pull through there, and pull through the loop that's on the hook, pull it slightly tighter, and there you go. Okay, that's your foundation ring to start doing your trebles. So a treble, you're going to start off with a mock treble, which is going to get you to the right height that you need to be for working. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're going to have that effect. I've no idea if the camera's catching this. I'm really struggling with this. Okay, now where the root of that is, in that very tight space, that's where we're going to do another one, but we're going to do a proper treble this time. We're going to wrap before we go in, pull through, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2. You're going to get this effect. Okay, so the next one, the next stitch in the circle, in the foundation ring here, you're going to do 2 trebles. Wrap, in, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And you do the same again. Okay, so you've started that second outer layer, and you'll have 2 trebles in every one of those. Okay, you will end up with this disc. Okay, so going from this disc, you're going to start your next contrast color. But before you do that, check the number of stitches that you have, because this is where you'll be able to find out if you're doing this right. You started with your 4 chain and you made it into a circle with a slip stitch. Then you did 1 chain and then filled in the rest 9 DCs, because that 1 chain is like your first DC. So you have 10 stitches altogether, which you then join with a slip stitch. Okay, and then you start with chain 3. Okay, I'm just going to make sure I can get that on the camera. My chain, I can spot it from here, there's my chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So I know that was my starting point. So I do another treble into the root of where that chain started. Okay, so because I had 10 DCs and I know I'm doing 2 trebles into every DC, I should have 20 of these. Include your 3 chain as a treble. Okay, So that's the idea. You do your count, and that's how you know that you've got the right stitches and you've got them in the right place. Okay, so however you do your slip knot, you get your slip knot ready with your new colour to join on to the disc that you've already made. Now you can pick anywhere on this disc to start. So start with going into the top. You've already got your slip knot on your hook already. Okay, yarn over and pull through. Okay, and that secures it onto your disc. Yarn over, pull through the 2. Okay, that's your first chain, second chain, third chain. That's your first treble. Now on this round we start with 2 trebles into a stitch, into the previous row stitch. So we do another treble, yarn over, pull through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. It's going to look like that. Again, I can't see exactly if that's coming up on the camera. I'm going on blind faith here almost. So the next round, nope, the next stitch on this round is a single treble. Okay, so we've done 2 and then 1. The next one is 2 treble. Okay, let's get a close-up of that. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Look at the base and see where your single treble is and your 2 trebles are. I've got to be careful how I phrase this because a double treble and 2 trebles are entirely different things. Okay, single treble and then 2 trebles together. And you carry on all the way round. Okay, now just for the sake of demonstrations, how are we going to do that? Okay, let's do it this way. Just for the sake of demonstrations, let's imagine that I've gone all the way round and we have to do that slip stitch join. We're going to get the hook, the loop that's already on the hook, we're going to leave on there, and we're going to get to the top of that 3 chain that we did the very first time we started this round, and we're going to go straight in. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through, and that's how you would join your circles. Okay, that will leave you with this disc. Okay, and the second contrast colour, your darker one for instance, you would do exactly the same process again of starting with your slip knot already on the hook. You would find a place to start, doesn't matter where you start, go straight in, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and through the 2 loops on your hook. That is your first chain. And let's see if I can find where my that was here for me on this one. So then you chain 2, chain 3, and then you start a treble again and go into the same place that you started. That's your 2 trebles. Now on this whole round you're doing 2 trebles together, then you're doing a single one and a single one, 2 trebles together, single, single, 2 together, single treble, single treble. Okay, so you keep going around with that and it should begin to start looking about the size of, you know, those small teacups and saucers, about the size of a saucer. Okay, the small ones, the vintage ones. And then you carry on again with your slip knot, your slip stitch join, and you finish off that, and you start with your new colour like you did with all the other colours now. And with this one, you do your 3 chain start, 2 trebles together, and this one is single 1, single 2, single 3. Okay, so 2 trebles together, and then 1, 1, 1. 2 trebles together, 1, 1, 1. So now you can see how the pattern develops for keeping this disc flat. Doing this sort of 2 together and then 1, so at the very first sort of disc here, it's all 2 trebles, 2 trebles, 2 trebles. The next round is 2 trebles, 1, 2 trebles, 1. The next one out, 2 trebles, 1, 1, 2 trebles, 1, 1. The next round out, you can see the formula, 2 trebles, 1, 1, 1, 2 trebles, 1, 1, 1. So by now you should know what the next round would involve. And while you're thinking of that, okay, we're at large saucer, small tea plate size. Now for doing striped beanies, you don't want the hat to fit the top of the head like this disc too comfortably. You want it to be smaller because crochet stretches a hell of a lot, quite a lot, and you need to be aware of that. You want the hat to look like it'll be a little bit smaller than it should be for your head, because there's such an amount of stretch that otherwise the hat will not hug your head. Okay, and the treble stitch has a lot of give in it. So back to the maths. 2 trebles in the center, 2, then 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, and we're at the neon pink layer here, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so you're adding a single treble each time you go out a ring. Okay, now using this formula, you could make a tablecloth, just big circular rug, tablecloth. This general formula works quite well with double knit, chunky, and super chunky if you're using the right size hook. This is a general rule of thumb. You may need to adapt it once in a while for the thickness or for the fluffiness of the wool, but that's a very good template. Okay, so like I say, we're at big saucer, small tea plate size, and okay, here we are trying to show you what the largest size is. This is actually for a sort of medium large head. This actually fits my head. Now I've tucked in the rest of the hat behind it because after you've done the size that you need for the disc at the top of the head, you don't do any more expanding. You just do a simple stitch for stitch. Okay, so this is the last round of the expansion for the top of the disc. We've got 2 trebles, then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 2 trebles, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so you've got the formula now, and this is a little bit bigger. I've got a tea plate that I used to size this, but it's one of those octagonal tea plates. I hate them, but it's the only one I've got to hand, and it just peeks out from underneath it, so I know that that's the right size for my head. And then after that, you just keep changing the layers. You just keep changing the colours, okay, and you know, you're using a depth here. Now I'm trying to get that in camera shot. You don't want this to be any longer than 4 inches from the disc edge to the bottom of the hat. Okay, now that's looking a little bit like there's a corner on there. I can assure you when it's actually on, it's very smooth fitting. And what I've done is on the edging here, instead of doing any fancy ribbing, all I've done is I've just done the DC. I've done 3 rounds, and this is a slightly tighter stitch because it's a smaller, fatter stitch, and that gives it a little bit more grip. And if you get stuck with edgings and you don't want to do fancy ones, or you don't know how to do ribbings, front post, back posts, pick up one of these, okay, lay it over the top, get your hook and add in your wool. You know, you basically crochet over the top of it, okay, literally just like that, okay, and that'll give you a little bit of stretch. But be careful when you do that, because when you use elastic on the edge of crochet, it actually puckers and it makes it look very much like baggy pants, is about the only thing I can come up with. So that's your general shape, okay. Now here are some more. If you ignore the fancy stitching on this, again you can see the shape, pudding bowl shape. Okay, here's a lacy one. This one's gorgeous, but because it's lacy, it stretches an awful lot, which means you keep the length from the disc to the bottom, that sort of sideband edge, you keep that very short because that stretches an awful lot. Now if you want to do a slouchy beanie, okay, I've stuck this on my ball of wool just to give you an idea of a sort of head shape. You do a very long, you do about 8 inches before you finish off, because it becomes like a bit of a tube, and that's the bit that slouches at the back. Okay, I think that's it. Now you can pause this and replay this and do this at your own speed, okay. That's all I can think of with regards to doing a video on a crochet beanie for beginners, just using chains, DCs and trebles, UK terminology, and this is Crochet Craft Nut.